الله ربنا هو الإله، له من الأسماء ما اصطفاه، الواحد الحي كذا المليك، والملك المالك لا شريك. الله ربنا هو الإله، له من الأسماء ما اصطفاه، الواحد الحي كذا المليك.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وآله الطاهرين. Respected elders, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In our discussion about the preparation for the holy journey to the pilgrimage to the house of God, we've looked into the importance of making this journey, the advantages that we may obtain, the procedure that we need to follow, the expert opinions of the most learned scholars, and some of the wajib and the mustahab duties that we have to perform while we are in the holy city of Medina. So now we are preparing to begin the spiritual trip of Hajj itself. And the first step is to go to the designated places known as the miqat and to enter into the state of ihram. In the Quran, in Surah Baqarah, chapter 2, ayah 197, God the Almighty says that Al-Hajju Ashhurun Ma'lumat. There's a waqt which is ma'loom, specified, designated for the purpose of doing Hajj. You can't do it at any other time. It has to be in the month of Shawwal, Dhi Qa'dah, Dhi Hijjah. That means in the month of Shawwal, you can enter into the ihram for Umrah, and then you wait, after you complete Umrah to Tamattu', you wait till the 8th of Dhul Hijjah to then proceed to Mina or Arafah, so that you can be in Arafah on the 9th of Dhul Hijjah. So the month and the time is designated, it's specified, it's waqt ma'loom. But also in the case of Hajj, the place where we are allowed to, or we should enter into the state of ihram to begin the process of Hajj and Umrah, even that place is fixed. And that fixed place is known technically as the miqat. And these places obviously are not mentioned in the Quran. It has been specified by the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then clarified and explained to us by the Imams of the Ahlul Bayt alayhim salam. The miqat is basically the place where we are allowed to enter into ihram. We cannot enter into ihram before this specified place. We cannot even cross the boundary of the miqat to proceed towards Makkah without being in the state of ihram. So the miqat is very important for the ihram. And because people will be coming from all parts of the world, so for different directions leading towards Makkah and the Masjid al-Haram, there are different miqats which have been designated. Just for your geographical interest, the place which has been designated for the people who are proceeding to Hajj from the holy city of Medina is known as Dhul Hulayfa or Masjid Shajara or Abiyar Ali. And those coming from Iraq have another miqat known as Wadi al-Aqiq, and those coming from Syria or Egypt or the Maghrib, they have the designated place known as Juhfa. For those coming from Yemen, it's Yalamlam. For those coming from Ta'if, it's Qarnul Manazil. For those who are already inside Mecca and want to restart another Umrah, then there's another miqat for them known as Adna al-Hil. And then in some situations where you may be traveling but fail to pass through one of these designated geographical places to enter into ihram, then a corresponding equivalent on the same geographical level, there are other places which are known as the muhadhat. So essentially, the purpose of the miqat is, if you want to reach God, there are different gateways and different entry points from all over the world to begin the process of the ihram. This is an aerial view of the Masjid Shajara. For those people who are in the holy city of Medina, this is the place where we are supposed to go. This central structure is the masjid known as Masjid al-Shajara. This is that minara. These surrounding structures are washrooms and toilets and bathrooms and some maybe shopping areas. And then of course these are the parking areas for the bus. And it's actually a neighborhood. There are people staying around also. And therefore there is a difference in fatwa between the mujtahideen, that where is it that I'm allowed to enter into the state of ihram? Am I required to enter inside the masjid, or am I allowed to wear and enter into ihram outside the masjid? We'll look into the details. So the most important rule about the miqat is this, that you are not allowed to enter into ihram before the miqat. You can't enter into ihram here at home or in the airport or in Jeddah or even in the city of Medina, or even to go to the mosque of the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Masjid al-Nabawi, which is the most sacred masjid in that environment of the holy city of Medina. You must leave Medina to almost a distance of about 12 kilometers or more to reach this place to enter into ihram. Unless, of course, somebody has made a nadhr. As an exception, that person will be allowed to enter into ihram before the miqat. Or exceptionally, if a person wants to get the extra thawab of doing umrah in the month of Rajab, also you're allowed to do it before the miqat so that you may get Rajab to be in the state of ihram. Rule number 167 in the rules about Hajj states that if you can't enter into ihram before the miqat, but if you happen to pass the miqat without ihram, it's haram, you're not allowed to. You must return back to the miqat and enter into ihram. So the place we as pilgrims and visitors wishing to go to Mecca from the holy city of Medina, at the time when we land in Jeddah or we land in Medina, Medina airport, we may have the option of going to Jeddah. Jeddah is closer to Mecca. There the rules are different. But because we will be proceeding from Medina, therefore the miqat for us will be this location known as Dhul Hulayfa. Hulayfa, Halfa is the name of a tree. Masjid Shajara, the tree. Or because there were wells and water sources back in history related to Imam Ali alayhi salam. So it is also known as Abar Ali or Abiyar Ali. Bi'r meaning the wells. Where am I allowed to enter into the state of ihram? Is it there in that neighborhood and that area, or no? Masjid Shajara is not the name of the area. Masjid Shajara is the name of the masjid. There's a difference of opinion between the mujtahids. Marhumatullah Gulpaygani, Marhumatullah Khoi, may Allah bless their souls. They say no, you're allowed to do it and enter into ihram outside the masjid. Hazrat Ayatollah Khamenei says no, you must do it inside the masjid. Hazrat Ayatollah Sistani says no, you must do it inside the masjid as ihtiyat wajib. So the best thing for all of us, whichever taqleed we're doing, is to do it inside the masjid. Of course, exceptions will be for those women who are not allowed to enter the mosque, or for men who may be in the state of, let's say, janaba, for which they need ghusl, and if they didn't do the ghusl, they may not be allowed to enter the masjid. This is a masjid, so the rules of masjid and tahara will apply. For them, definitely, to enter into ihram will be outside the masjid, unless they use the rule that a person in the state of hadath akbar, a junub or a ha'id, is allowed to enter the masjid as a passerby. So you enter from one door and you exit from another door. So you're just passing by, you're not staying there. And during your passing by, you enter into the state of ihram and you recite the talbiyah. That is allowed. But this facility is not available in Masjid al-Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa alihi or Masjid al-Haram, where a person in the state of janaba or in the state of haid cannot even pass through the masjid. But through Masjid Shajara, no problem, allowed. So it's located about outside the city of Medina. Why do we have to go to Dhul Hulayfa? Well, Masjid Shajara, Hulayfa, name of a tree. It is said that the Holy Prophet ﷺ, when he would visit this place, he would sit near this particular tree, and therefore this place was named as the masjid of that famous tree. But more important for us, historically, the Holy Prophet ﷺ did only one Hajj when he was in Medina. Yes, he may have done Hajj when he was in Mecca, but collectively for the whole of the Muslim Ummah, he did it in the 10th year of Hijrah. But before the 10th year of Hijrah, he did several Umrah. In the 7th year of Hijrah, in this week of the Qa'dah, he did the Umratul Qada. 6th year of Hijrah, he wanted to do the Umrah which he was barred from because of the Sulh of Hudaybiyah. So the Qada was done in the 7th year of Hijrah. Again, the Holy Prophet went in the 8th year of Hijrah, in the Fath of Mecca. Again, obviously, in the Umrah of the 10th year of Hijrah, the Hajj. In all these three cases, the miqat at which the Holy Prophet entered into ihram was Masjid Shajara. And of course, subsequently, the Imams who always chose to stay in Medina near the shrine of the Holy Prophet, and the wives of the Prophet ﷺ also, all of them, they chose to enter into ihram from the Masjid Shajara. Question: what's so important about this Masjid Shajara spiritually? The riwayah says, the sixth Holy Imam alayhi salam says, "Man ahrama qabla al-miqat fala ihrama lah." Your ihram is incomplete and incorrect if you enter into ihram before the miqat. The example given in other riwayat is your salatul dhuhr before the waqtul dhuhr is invalid. It's not even wajib as yet. Or another riwayah says, لا يجاوز المواقيت إلا وهو محرم. You are not allowed to cross any miqat, but that you should be in the state of ihram. Or another riwayah says, لا يجوز لأحد أن يدخل الحرم إلا بإحرام. Nobody is allowed to cross the miqat and then enter into haram, and then from the haram to enter Masjid al-Haram, but that he should be in the state of ihram. So ihram is a preparation to enter the haram, and entry into the haram is a preparation to enter Masjid al-Haram. The spiritual significance of traveling from our place of stay in the holy city of Medina to the miqat, in that riwayah of Shibli, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam is reported to have said to him, when you began your journey now you want to go for Hajj. So from the holy city of Medina, now you begin the journey. Did you make the niyyah now that your devotion and your dedication is going to be towards God and God alone? and therefore you're going to be extra careful and extra mindful and God conscious. And therefore you make a firm determination to do hijrah and migration from a negligent, heedless lifestyle to a mindful, careful, attentive lifestyle where you are God conscious. Did you make that niyyah that you're beginning? It's not an ordinary trip anymore. It is a spiritually charged trip. So we have come to Masjid Shajara, the miqat. And it is only here, not before, not after, at the Masjid Shajara, the miqat, for the people of Medina or those traveling through Medina, that we are to enter into ihram. Ihram has got 3 essential steps. One is we have to wear the dress of ihram. Number 2, we have to decide to enter into ihram by making the niyyah. And 3, we have to declare that we have begun the process of ihram, just like we have takbiratul ihram. So also we have the talbiyah as an entry point. Now we are into ihram. So let's look into these 3 steps a little more in detail. The first step is the dress of the ihram. Obviously, before you wear the wajib dress of the ihram, you must now come out of your ordinary daily dress. So the stitched dress has to be removed, and the body has to be cleaned and shaved, and the excess hair has to be removed, and the body has to be washed in a specific ghusl with the niyyah of the ghusl of ihram. And then it is also mustahab to pray salah, known as the Salatul Ihram. Mustahab, not wajib. How am I supposed to wear the 2 pieces of the ihram? There's no specific procedure. There is one piece known as the loin cloth that you have to wear waist downwards. There's another piece known as the shoulder cloth that you have to wear in the upper part of the body. And there's a conventional way which everyone does, and is very simple. You tie around your waist the loin cloth, and you hang the shoulder cloth on your upper part of the body. The important thing is to remember which parts of the body are wajib to cover in the state of ihram. For the loin cloth, it is wajib that it should cover from the navel down to the knee, just below the knee. That is wajib. Yes, mustahab above the navel. Yes, mustahab below the knee till the ankle. But wajib is from the navel till the knee, the loin cloth. The shoulder cloth, wajib, that your shoulders, your upper arm, your chest, and your back should be covered. Mustahab, yes, up till down here. Mustahab, yes, the shoulder cloth should go till below the waist, but not wajib. Which type of cloth material am I allowed to use as my ihram dress? The same requirements which are there for the dress of salah is also a requirement for the dress of ihram. In other words, it's as if to tell us, just like salah is an ibadah, and in salah, for example, it's haram for gents to wear silken dress or gold decorated dress or dress made from wild animals, hide and skin. Preferable, it should be of cotton, but not wajib. The riwayah says that كل ثوب تصلي فيه فلا بأس أن تحرم فيه. Whichever dress you use for your salah, that same dress you use for your ihram. It's as if to tell us ihram is entering into the state of ibadah. So now I want to wear the shoulder cloth and the loin cloth. Am I allowed to use anything to fasten and to hold? So I bring the 2 edges of the shoulder cloth and I fasten it with a pin. a safety pin, for example, or a clip, and my loin cloth also, I will tie it as a lungi, for example, but then am I allowed, and maybe I'll roll over to tighten and secure, but am I allowed in addition to secure it and fasten it with pins or not? There's a difference of opinion. Marhumatul Khoi, Hazrat al-Sistani, they say that in the loin cloth, no pins allowed. In the shoulder cloth, yes, no problem. You can secure the two sides of the shoulder cloth with a pin or a clip. Marhumatul Gulpagani is strict. No pins, neither for the loin cloth nor for the shoulder cloth. Hazrat Ayatollah Khamenei, he says no problem. Both for the loin cloth and for the shoulder cloth, you're allowed to use pins. But obviously, don't use so many pins that you start creating a sleeve in the shoulder cloth and a trouser in the loin cloth. No, not so many pins. 1 or 2 pins just to secure, allowed. The shoulder cloth should appear as a shoulder cloth just like everybody else is wearing. The loin cloth should be a loin cloth just like everybody else is wearing, even without pins. So when I'm entering into the state of ihram and I'm going to make my niyyah and then I'm going to recite my talbiyah, it is wajib for me to wear these 2 pieces and to cover the wajib portions of my body. I've already recited the talbiyah, for example. I'm into the state of ihram. I've come out and I've sat in the bus. Can I take off my shoulder cloth? Is it a requirement to wear the ihram throughout, from the time of the miqat till I arrive after 400, 500 kilometers traveling? I arrive in Mecca and then I go for tawaf. No, not required. You can take off your shoulder cloth. But obviously you'll have to observe decency and modesty in public. In fact, you're even allowed to take off your loin cloth, obviously when you go to the washroom, or obviously when you are in the privacy of your own room. So you can remove your dress after you are into the state of ihram. In fact, you can even change the shoulder cloth into another shoulder cloth. Change your loin cloth into another loin cloth. No problem, you're allowed to. However, if you do decide to change, so instead of buying 2 pieces, you buy 3 pieces or 4 pieces of ihram clothes. And then, for whatever reason, you think it's become dirty or smelly or whatever, so you say, let me keep it aside, let me wear the 3rd piece. No problem, you're allowed to do that. But mustahab, better, not wajib. When you go for tawaf, wear that original dress in which you entered into ihram at the miqat. The thickness of the cloth, very important. Just like in salah, the thickness of the cloth should be such that it should not reveal the skin underlying. So also in the state of ihram, the cloth material should not be that thin that it should expose. Hazrat al-Sistani, both the loin cloth and the shoulder cloth. Hazrat al-Sistani says, ihtiyat wajib for the loin cloth. Marwa Ayatollah Khoi says that even for the shoulder cloth, it should not be so thin that the skin underlying is exposed. Some people are worried that they've never worn a loin cloth and therefore they may be careless about taking care of their loin cloth, and they may adopt postures and positions whereby unknowingly they may be exposing. It's embarrassing. So are they allowed to have an extra cloth to cover their private parts inside the loin cloth? The answer is no. No stitched clothing, no. Everybody is the same before God. You came to the dunya with nothing but a simple piece of cloth. You go out of the dunya with nothing on but a simple piece of cloth. You present yourself to God. Oh Lord, I've come to you with nothing. Of course, I can't come naked. So I've worn just the basics. Nothing more and nothing less. Unless, of course, somebody has got a medical problem. for a medical condition, stitched clothing to support some particular organs that may be bulging out and medically required, that's an exception. But under normal circumstances, stitched clothing not allowed. If it's unstitched, no problem. So if it's unstitched, you may wear not only one shoulder cloth, you may wear two shoulder cloths. You may wear not one but two loin cloths, no problem. But minimum is two pieces, one loin, one shoulder. Because the dress of ihram is the dress of salah and it is of ibadah, therefore it's very important that the dress should be kept tahir all the time. It should not be allowed to become najis. So if it gets najis, you must make sure that you cleanse it as soon as possible. لا يلبسه حتى يغسله. So if you want to, the riwayah is Imam alayhi salam was asked, somebody has got a dress of ihram but unfortunately it has become najis. So Imam says, no, let him wash it first, then wear it. In other words, it's not that once you reach Makkah and go to Masjidul Haram and you want to do tawaf and salatul tawaf that the ihram should be tahir. Even before, right from the time at the miqat when you enter into ihram, up until the time you come out of ihram in Marwa, when you do finish the sa'i and you do the taqsir, up until that time, the ihram dress has to be tahir. So we are in the state of ibadah. Makruh, better to avoid an ihram dress which is dark, better to wear a white dress, but not haram to wear a colored dress of ihram. Makruh to start wearing a dirty ihram dress, but during the state of ihram and traveling, if the ihram dress becomes dirty, no problem. And better that it should not be decorated, it should be simple and plain. One very important ruling is about the legality and the permissibility of that dress. It should not be ghasbi. It should not be a dress bought from funds on which the wajib financial dues have not been paid, zakat has not been paid, khums has not been paid, in which case therefore that money is partly ghasbi, doesn't belong to us, belongs to the mustahaq that has to be paid before I use it to purchase the dress of ihram. So what's the significance of the dress having these particular features? The simplest dress possible. Incidentally, before I continue, both marhum Ayatollah Khoy, Hazrat Ayatollah Sistani, Hazrat Ayatollah Khamenei, all the three, they say that the two pieces of ihram only apply to the gents. The ladies can enter into ihram in their daily normal dress, but the dress should be the dress of salah. Marhum Ayatollah Gul Paigani, exceptional amongst all the mujtahids, he says no, even for the ladies, during the time of entering into the state of ihram, they should wear the two pieces of ihram. So one shoulder cloth over their ordinary dress and one loin cloth over their ordinary dress, cover themselves well, make the niyyah, pronounce the talbiyah. Once they are into the state of ihram, you are allowed to remove the two pieces and continue with your normal dress. But obviously, whichever that normal dress is, those rules apply that the dress should not be of a material which is so thin that it exposes the skin underlying. So what's the significance of entering into the simplest of all the dresses? Normally, human beings, they wear a dress, they say, you wear a dress to express your personality and you want to impress others. So Benjamin Franklin is quoted to say that you should eat to please yourself, but dress to please others. Express yourself through your dress. And the three things that project your persona, your dress and your hairstyle and your makeup. So if you want to value a person, actually you don't look at the dress, but look at the person who's wearing the dress. So essentially, we are not out there to impress others. We are not even out there to express ourselves. In fact, we are out there to forget ourselves. And therefore we are out there to present ourselves in the lowest manner, simplest manner, humblest manner possible before God, the Master of the universe. So therefore this ihram should be white, should be clean, should be pure, and should express therefore our inner cleanliness in our minds, in our hearts, our purity, our innocence, our seeking of perfection and righteousness, inshaAllah. In that riwayah of Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam explaining to Shibli, did you go to the miqat? And did you take off your stitched dress? And did you clean your body and remove excess hair? And did you wash and do the ghusl? And Shibli said, yes. And Imam said, all right, when you did all these things, so for example, when you went to the miqat, did you make the niyyah that خَلَعْتَ ثَوْبَ الْمَعْصِيَةِ وَلَبَسْتَ ثَوْبَ الطَّاعَةِ, that from now onwards you will be extra alert, that you will not be sinful and you will not be negligent and you will not be heedless of the presence of God. Did you make that niyyah that this is your hijrah? Well, Shibli says, well, everybody who went to miqat, I joined the miqat trip. Imam said, well, you did not actually go to the miqat therefore. Shibli, when you removed your stitched dress, the dress where you wear to impress, the dress you wear to express, did you make the niyyah تَجَرَّدْتَ مِنَ الرِّيَاءِ وَالنِّفَاقِ? Did you make the niyyah and the determination from now onwards you're not out there to impress others and to express yourself, that you're a humble being before God? Shibli, when you started cleaning your body and shaving off the excess hair in the armpit and the loin, I'm not talking about the beard and the hair of the head. The excess hair, when you remove, did you make the niyyah that تَنَظَّفْتَ بِنُورَةِ التَّوْبَةِ الْخَالِصَةِ, just like the blade was trimming or cutting the excess hair, that you took the blade of tawbah and you started cutting the excess growth, the dirt, the rust that had developed in the iron of the heart. This iron has to be like a magnet attracted to the Kaaba and the creator and the maker of the Kaaba. The magnet will not work if there's rust. Did you use tawbah to shave off the rust of the sinfulness in your heart? Did you wipe out the dust that had collected on the mirror of your heart? With tawbah, with istighfar, with weeping, with crying, with seeking forgiveness. And Shibli, when you make the ghusl, it's mustahab to make the ghusl of ihram. Also, because we will be traveling from the miqat to the haram, and to enter the haram, mustahab to do another ghusl. In the past, in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, it took him about a week to cross that 400, 500 kilometers from the miqat in Medina to Makkah. So it was a long journey. By the time they reached the haram outside Makkah, mustahab to do another ghusl. And then after the haram you enter Makkah, mustahab to do another ghusl. And then you will go for the visit to Masjid al-Haram, mustahab to do another ghusl. And then in Masjid al-Haram you'll do tawaf, mustahab to do a ghusl for tawaf. There are almost 5 different ghusls to be done. But because our journey will be very fast, 100 kilometers an hour, within 4 hours, 5 hours, if there are not any long stops or delays on the way, we should be in Mecca. So our journey will be very short comparatively. The Prophet took 8 days, we'll take 8 hours maybe. So then instead of making ghusls at the different stops, we make one collective ghusl at the miqat or before the miqat with all the niyyah, the ghusl of ihram, ghusl of entering haram, ghusl of entering Mecca, of Masjid al-Haram, and ghusl of tawaf. Shibli, did you make the niyyah when you did the ghusl that اغتسلت من الذنوب, that not only are you washing yourself externally, but internally also you are washing yourself and cleaning yourself with the water of your tears? Are you weeping that now you're presenting yourself before God? And are you considering yourself worthy of meeting your Lord with all your past sinfulness, abuse, negligence, disobedience, disrespect. So, at the miqat, the first wajib act was entering into the state of ihram through removal of stitched dress and wearing an unstitched dress. Second now is we must make the niyyah that I want to now enter into the state of ihram. Niyyah is simple. Why am I doing this? Because I want to obey the command of God. I want to please God. I want to get the rewards from God. I want to avoid the punishment of refusing to listen to the call of God, which is for my benefit. I will be punished if I deliberately and defiantly disobey. If a person doesn't have khulus, and the niyyah is not to obey God, but everybody else is doing, or it's a good trip to make to Makkah, there's no khulus, there's no ikhlas, there's no qurbatan ilallah, there's riyah, it's batil. So you need to repeat the niyyah again. When am I supposed to make the niyyah? Sitting here in the Hajj Masael, boarding the plane, go to Medina, in Masjid al-Nabi? No. The time for the niyyah is in the miqat, in the Masjid al-Shajara, when I want to begin to enter into the state of ihram. That's the time I should make the niyyah. In other words, I cannot begin my journey from the miqat in the state of ihram without a niyyah. That is the time when I should make the niyyah. When do I make the niyyah of fasting? When it is time of fajr. When do I make the niyyah of salah? When the time of adhan has already come, I want to begin the salah. So when you begin the ihram, to enter into ihram, that's when you make the niyyah for ihram. I want to pray 4 rak'ah salah, qurbatan ilallah, Allahu Akbar. 4 rak'ah salah, but there's 4 rak'ah salah Isha, there's 4 rak'ah Dhuhr, 4 rak'ah Asr. Which 4 rak'ah? I want to enter into ihram. Oh yeah, but there's so many ihrams. Which ihram you want to enter? Is it for Hajj or is it for Umrah? Specify. It is for Umrah. Yeah, but Umrah is mufrada or tamattu. Specify. It is for tamattu. Yes, but is it for yourself or is it on behalf of your sponsor who has sent you? Or no sponsor has sent you. You have decided to give a gift to a beneficiary to do the Umrah or the Hajj for them. So you have to make the niyyah and specify. Some people have already done Hajj before. So this Hajj becomes a mustahab Hajj. It's not Hajjul Islam anymore, Hajjatul Islam anymore. It's a mustahab Hajj. For some people, it's the first time Hajj, so it is a wajib Hajj. So for them it is a Hajjul Islam or Hajjatul Islam. There's a third type of people who have already done one Hajj before, but for some reason, over the years, they've learned something more about Hajj and now they're beginning to doubt, did I do that Hajj properly or not? Sijui. I have doubts, I think that Hajj was not sahih. No problem. In that situation, you make the niyyah of what is known as the ihtiyat Hajj or ma fi dhimma Hajj, or the Hajj which is qurbatan ilallah, meaning, oh Allah, I want to do the Hajj which is my duty right now. I don't know what is my duty. If that past Hajj, whenever it was, is sahih, then let this be my mustahab Hajj, because that's my duty right now. I can't do a second wajib. Oh Lord, if in your knowledge, I don't know, if in your knowledge, that past Hajj is a batil Hajj, then this should be my wajib Hajj. So my niyyah right now is whatever is the duty of the Hajj on me today, wajib or mustahab, I don't know, whatever it is, qurbatan ilallah, I want to perform that Hajj. So this is known as the ihtiyat Hajj or the ma fi dhimma Hajj. How do I make the niyyah? Do I have to recite it loudly? I am now entering into ihram for the Umrah of Tamattu, which is then going to connect to the Hajj Tamattu, which is my first time ever in life, and it is Hajjul Islam, and it is for myself, and it is qurbatan ilallah. Do I have to pronounce all these things? Or no, internally, I know. Hello, what are you doing here? I've come here for ihram. Which ihram? Umrah. Which Umrah? Tamattu. He knows everything. She knows everything in her heart and mind. It's enough. Your niyyah is sahih. Lakini, internally is enough, but mustahab. Hajj is a once in a lifetime opportunity. You don't want to end up saying, oh, I reached Makkah, my God, I forgot. In the niyyah, in miqat, I forgot to say this is for myself, or it is for the niyabah. Problem. You make the wrong niyyah, you have to pay qaza. The Hajj is different now. So mustahab, pronounce it, read it, recite it, remind yourself exactly what is the niyyah. At the time of making the niyyah, is it necessary to say, now I'm entering into the state of ihram, therefore some things will become haram. In salah, it's haram now to look right and left, to laugh and to cry or to talk or to jump up and down. It's haram. At the time of salah, do you make the niyyah? I'm praying 3 rak'ah salah maghrib, and therefore I'm not going to turn right and left, and I'm not going to laugh, I'm not going to cry, I'm not going to talk in salah. We don't say all these things, it's not required. But we know at the back of our mind that in the state of salah, some things are haram. That's enough. When you begin fasting, you don't say, I'm beginning my fast, now I shall not engage in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things which will break my fast. Generally, anything and everything which by the Sharia breaks my fast, I will avoid. That's enough. Likewise, in the state of ihram, entering into ihram, this is enough. So there's a formula for the niyyah. I am entering into the state of ihram for the Umrah Tamattu, which is part of my wajib ada of Hajjatul Islam if you're a first timer. Or no, this is Umrah Tamattu, which is part of my mustahab Hajj if you are a repeater. Or no, this is my Umrah Tamattu, which is part of my ma fi dhimma ihtiyat Hajj if you're doing a precautionary repeat Hajj. Or no, God forbid, you purposely went and broke your Hajj in such a way. You know, sometimes you do certain things which are sinful and you violate the conditions, there's a kafara to be paid. Sometimes your Hajj becomes batil. If it becomes batil, deliberately, you must pay a kafara by doing the Hajj all over again. That becomes a penalty Hajj. It happens exceptionally. So decide which Hajj is it. This Umrah Tamattu for which type of Hajj? A penalty Hajj for the defiant, disobedient sinner. And I'm doing this for myself or for my sponsor or for a beneficiary. And I'm doing it in obedience to God's command and in order to win His reward and to avoid punishment. Qurbatan ilallah, that's enough. In the riwayah of Shibli, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam asks, so Shibli, did you really make the true niyyah for Hajj? And did you therefore enter after the niyyah into the state of ihram? Shibli said, yes. So Imam said, did you make the niyyah that I'm going for Hajj to visit God, I'm dedicating myself to God? قَدْ حَلَّلْتَ كُلَّ عَقْدٍ لِغَيْرِ اللَّهِ. I'm now bonding myself and committing myself, my niyyah, qurbatan ilallah, to do nothing but to please God. And therefore any other commitment or obligation to any power other than God, you have severed and you have disconnected and you have broken. Did you make that niyyah? Now the priority in your life will not be other people's commands. It will be God's commands. Spiritually, did you make that niyyah? And Shibli, when you entered into ihram, yes, there are 25, 26 things which are haram. But these are samples, these are examples. The list of haram is much longer than 25, 26. Did you make the niyyah at that time that haramta ala nafsika kulla muharram, everything other than these 25, more than these 25, which are haram. Also, therefore, you will be careful and alert and aware to avoid. So we are now entering the state of ihram by wearing the dress of ihram and by having made the niyyah. Finally, one thing remains, and that is the pronouncement of the talbiyah. But mustahab now to pray salah. The Prophet ﷺ visited miqat at the time of dhuhr. Before dhuhr, they did the ghusl, they went to Masjid Shajara, they prayed salat al-dhuhr, and then they made the talbiyah and entered into ihram. So it's mustahab to go to miqat at the time of a wajib salah, dhuhr or maghribain or fajr. If no, you go at any other time, mustahab to pray salah. 6 rak'ah salah with the niyyah that this is salatul ihram, 2 rak'ah 3 times. Or no, even a single 2 rak'ah salah of ihram enough. Notice, if you remember the previous slide that I showed you, the aerial view of the masjid, there was a central area which was open to the roof. There was no roof. That is that central area, and therefore notice there's no carpet. It's marbled. And there's some vegetation also in this open area. In order to find the place where you will be able to make your salah on a portion which is permissible to make sajda on, this is the place you look for, because all the covered areas have got carpets. However, as I explained before, if you arrive there at the time of the wajib salah, and the adhan has been pronounced, and there is a salatul jama'ah going on, don't start another furada prayer or jama'ah prayer elsewhere. Join the salatul jama'ah, which is being led there on the carpet, no problem, permissible. There are some recommendations. Mustahab to keep your hair, the hair of the head, that is, not the armpit and the groin. Mustahab to trim your nails, mustahab to do the ghusl, mustahab to go for the salah time, mustahab to recite a dua which is known as the dua of the niyyah and then enter into ihram, mustahab to wear a cotton dress, and then mustahab to repeat the talbiyah. And there are some things which are makruh. Don't wear a black ihram, just like it's makruh for the kafan. Mustahab that it should be white, not black. So also ihram, makruh that it should be black. Makruh that you should start wearing a dirty ihram dress or a decorated one. But hina is allowed before the ihram, not after the ihram. Makruh, however. Makruh to say labbaik to any human call. Makruh to take a bath in ihram, especially when you're going to massage your body, because then hair may fall off. Makruh to brush your teeth excessively. Makruh to have this colored pillow or bed cover. Makruh to recite poetry. Mustahab to recite the dhikr and the dua. So Shibli, Imam Zainul Abidin alayhi salam asked, so you went to the miqat, you prayed the salah there, whether it is the wajib salah or the mustahab salah, and did you enter into the masjid of the miqat, and did you pray those 2 rak'ah salah? And Shibli said yes. So Imam says, at that time, when you are entering into miqat, and therefore you are making the niyyah that now I'm going to enter into ihram to start my journey, did you make the niyyah, nawayta annaka bi niyyati ziyara? You made the niyyah that now I'm going for the ziyarah of Baytullah, and the ziyarah of the Arsh, and the ziyarah of the Sahib al-Arsh. And Shibli, when you pray the 2 rak'ah salah, mustahab salah, or no, the wajib salah, you are now beginning a journey, and your ultimate goal is to reach closer to God. And therefore, as a first step, you want to do that which is the most pleasing to God, and there's nothing better than salah. Did you start your ihram with salah? And then did you make the niyyah, تَقَرَّبْتَ إِلَى اللَّهِ بِخَيْرِ الْأَعْمَالِ حَيَّ عَلَى خَيْرِ الْعَمَلِ. Was that your niyyah when you prayed the salatul ihram? Finally, excuse me, when you have removed the stitched clothing and wore the unstitched cloth of the ihram, and you have made the niyyah, one thing remains to enter into ihram, and that is just like in salah. You have worn the dress of salah. You know, the Bohora community, when they go for salah, they don't wear the ordinary dress. They have a qamis and an izar and a cap. So even if they're wearing the ordinary dress, they'll make sure they're carrying this dress when they go for salah. There's a specific dress, wajib for them, for us is mustahab. So you wore the specific dress, and you have made the niyyah for salah. But your salah is not going to start till you say Allahu Akbar, the takbiratul ihram. So also you will not enter into the ihram for Umrah Tamattu till you pronounce the takbir or the labbaik of the ihram, and this is the final act. So talbiyah, which is wajib, which makes us enter into the state of ihram now, is the formula where we say the labbaik 4 times. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, labbaik la sharika laka labbaik. Wajib talbiyah over, you are into ihram. Innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika laka labbaik. Mustahab, not wajib. Why do we pronounce the talbiyah? Well, talbiyah basically is a declaration. Labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. Oh Lord, I heard your call. I'm responding to you again and again and again and to nothing else. I'm not responding to my desires anymore. I'm not going to respond to the devil, though he will try to tempt me. I will not respond to the commands of the dunya or the dictator or the desires or the devil. I'm going to respond to you and you alone, with everything in my being, with my eyes, with my ears, with my hands, with my leg, with my tongue, with every part of my body. Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. With the totality of my being, I'm declaring my submission to you and you alone. Now I'm into ihram. This is known as the talbiyah of tawheed, submission to the absolute one power. In order for the talbiyah to be sahih, it has to be pronounced in the proper Arabic way. Otherwise, batil, you're not into ihram. And that's why we insist that the practice should be there every day. If a person for some reason cannot pronounce it correctly, no problem, take time to learn. If you can't do it in public, take time privately with the ustaz. Worst comes to worst, you tried to learn, but you forgot or you can't do it, no problem. Have talqeen, have somebody near you who should pronounce to you, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik, and you repeat with him. Just like we do talqeen for the mayyit. And you have tried your best, but somehow, for some reason, you simply can't pronounce correctly. No problem, you are excused. You've done your best. Recite as much as you can. Some people, despite all efforts, fail to do it properly at all. For them, exceptionally, the fatwa is recite it as badly as you can. And then make sure you recite also the translation. And also make sure you give niyaba and delegate somebody else. Please, on my behalf, recite the talbiyah for me also. Hazrat al-Khamenei says this is mustahab and not wajib. Marwat al-Khoi, Hazrat al-Gulpaygani, and Hazrat al-Sistani, all of them say no. Ihtiyat wajib, you must get somebody else to recite it for you. Am I required to be in the state of tahara at the time of pronouncing the talbiyah? No. Salah, yes. Talbiyah, no. Ihram has to be tahir. I don't need to be in the state of wudu. No, I can be without wudu and pronounce the talbiyah. A woman can be in the state of hadathul akbar, in the state of her monthly period. Indeed, the wife of Abu Bakr, the later first Khalifa, she was pregnant at the time of the 10th year of Hijrah with Muhammad bin Abi Bakr. She decided to go for Hajj in pregnancy, expectant. She didn't want to miss the Hajj with the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. She came to Miqat, she delivered. So now she is in nifas. Can she enter into ihram or no? Sends a message. The Prophet says no problem. She just cleanses her physical body. She wears a clean dress and she enters into ihram. No problem. Imam Baqir alayhi salam, who tells us this history, says there is barakah in the birth of Muhammad bin Abi Bakr for the women. The mother showed the way forward for the women who are in that state, what to do. Finally, once talbiyah is wajib inside the masjid, shajara at the miqat to enter into ihram. After that, talbiyah is mustahab. And it continues till we reach Makkah. Inshallah, we'll discuss that later. Let's pray to God to get the tawfiq to be able to enter into ihram in the proper, effective, spiritual way, inshallah. If there are any questions or clarifications, please. Yes, please. Sorry? Days. Once you leave the miqat in Medina and you arrive in Mecca, it's not wajib to rush from your hotel to go to Masjid al-Haram to do the tawaf and the salatul tawaf and the sa'i and the taqsir of the umrah to tamattu'. No. You can wait a day, you can rest. Next day, 2 days, 3 days. No. You should have completed umrah to tamattu' just before it is time to begin the Hajj Tamattu'. So you can stay in the ihram as long as you want, no problem. Up until such time when you must finish Umrah Tamattu' so you can start the ihram of Hajj Tamattu'. Yes, please. Yes, regarding the belt, if you can just hold on. Later on, I will now discuss, now that we are into the state of ihram, 25, 26 things become haram. One of them is the issue of the belt. I'll discuss that later, inshallah. Yes, please.
Just to clarify, it's ghusl, niyat, and then talbiyah, and then salah, and then talbiyah.
Salah is mustahab for the ihram. So you do the ghusl or the wudu, and if you do the ghusl, there's no wudu required, and you wear the dress of the ihram. Before you pronounce the talbiyah, you do your salatul ihram. Yes, please. No, this ghusl is a valid mustahab ghusl, and therefore there is no wudu required. Remember, you're doing 5 niyats of ghusl. Ghusl of ihram, ghusl of haram, ghusl of Makkah, ghusl of Masjid al-Haram, ghusl of tawaf. All in one ghusl. And if it happens to be a Friday, ghusl al-Jum'ah also. Mustahab, not wajib. Enough, yes. For the wajib prayers also, yes. Yes, please. Yes. Sawa. Oh, double niyyah. Niyyah for myself and a sponsor. No, it depends. The sponsor has sponsored you with a niyyah of a wajib hajj. That means I'm sponsoring you that you must do hajj niyaba for so-and-so marhuma, or do so-and-so hajj for a living person but who is handicapped, they can't come for hajj. I'm asking you to do it. Oh no, mustahab hajj. I'm sponsoring for mustahab hajj. Is it wajib or mustahab? The hajj. For your own wajib? No. If it is a wajib hajj, only one niyyah is valid, and that is either for yourself or only for the marhum or for anybody else, the niyaba or the beneficiary. But if it is a mustahab hajj, no problem. You can do with the niyyah for yourself and the niyyah also for your sponsor and for somebody else also, no problem. Sorry? If the sponsor has not specified, then you decide. If the sponsor specifies, you must follow the conditions of the sponsor. If you are not doing it with the wajib niyyah for yourself, if you're doing it with the niyyah of mustahab, no problem. You can include the sponsor and relatives of sponsor and marhumin of the sponsor, no problem. Yes, so you can make the niyyah. I'm carrying out my duty which is required of me just now. I don't know if that past Hajj is batil, let this be the wajib Hajj. If that past Hajj is sahih, this is a mustahab Hajj. If it is a mustahab Hajj, I want to do it for myself, for my sponsor, for the marhumin of the sponsor, for my own marhumin, no problem. You can expand now the niyyah for the mustahab. Assuming that the mustahab is required of you, yes. I'll discuss this a little in detail. This is an interesting ruling of the Sharia which allows you in the mustahab Hajj to include others in the niyyah of your Hajj. We'll discuss that later. Yes, please. The question is, if it is Hajjul Islam or Hajjatul Islam and you're doing it for the first time and it's a wajib Hajj, then do you do it with the niyyah of qurbatan ilallah or do you do it with the niyyah of wajib? The fact that you say Hajjul Islam, by definition Hajjul Islam is a wajib Hajj. If it is a mustahab Hajj, then you say it is a mustahab Hajj, qurbatan ilallah. Yes, please. The ihram requirements for women are that whatever dress is valid for salah is the dress valid for ihram. The only exception is, Hazrat Ayatollah, Marhum Ayatollah Gulpaygani says that for entering into ihram at that time in the miqat, they should also wear these two pieces, a loin cloth and a shoulder cloth over their ordinary dress. Once they have made the niyyah and worn that dress and pronounced the talbiyah, they are into ihram, they can remove the two pieces. But the other mujtahids don't require it. Marhum Ayatollah Khoi, Hazrat Ayatollah Khamenei, Hazrat Ayatollah Sistani don't require these two extra pieces for the women.
Some people are saying that our hands are not supposed to be covered in ihram, but in salat they can be, so that's unclear. And then metal clasps buttons focus on the ihram.
I will answer the question about the ihram buckles or loops. According to Marhum Ayatollah Khoi and Ayatollah Sistani, on the shoulder cloth, not allowed. It is allowed, the pins or the loops or the clips. But on the loin cloth, not allowed. Marhum Ayatollah Gulpaygani says neither loin cloth nor shoulder cloth, not allowed, any pin or loop or clips. Hazrat Ayatollah Khamenei says no problem, you're allowed in both of them, the shoulder cloth and the loin cloth. But regarding the covering of the hands, we will come to it inshallah later on, when we're discussing how much cover the woman is allowed to make or is wajib for her to make in the state of ihram. We'll come to that later. Let's pray to Allah for tawfiq, that when we begin this spiritual journey of entering into ihram, it will be a state of being God conscious, God mindful, and submissive to God and seeking the pleasure of God by following His commands and by avoiding His prohibitions, inshaAllah. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.